Hi guys, Alci here. Today I decided I wanted to do a recap of Mist of Pandaria as a Windwalker monk and discuss some of the changes we had to go through to get to where we are right now, and then give you some food for thought on what I feel needs to be looked at in the future. The goal of this video is to just give you a better idea of what we had to overcome, and for those of you that already know all this, it can be used as a slight reminder. Now, I'm not going to go through all the Windwalker monk changes. I'm just going to go from patch to patch and shine some light on a few of the more what I believe to be key abilities. So let's get to it. Our journey starts with patch 5.0.4, the day that Mist of Pandaria went live, with a single target priority based rotation that is very similar to what it is right now, and that was pretty much all we were good at. Single target, preferably without having to move, with a lot less burst than we have now. But I must admit, I personally enjoy a class more if I need to work a bit harder while playing catch up on the DPS meters, which of course depends on the length of a fight, but I'm thinking about making another video on that subject and maybe adding some stuff like how to accurately read online logs. For now, this is what we started off being in Mist of Pandaria, and this gradually changed. Which brings me to the different patches, starting with patch 5.1 Landfall, which for the most part were some value adjustments. Like for example, Spear Hand Strike went from 30% energy cost to 10%. Our raid buffs from 50% to 20% energy cost. We gained a movement speed increase on our stance, 10%. But more importantly, they changed our Tiger Palm to only needing to apply it one time to gain the 30% armor reduction buff from Tiger Power. Before, it was a stackable buff which stacked up to 3 times. So we were forced to do Tiger Palm 3 times to get our 30% armor reduction buff. So this was a very welcomed change to our opening rotation. Other than these changes, there wasn't much of interest to note. Next up is 5.2, the Thunder King, which gave us quite a few changes. So let's start off with some of the smaller changes first. Tiger's Lust and Touch of Karma had their chi cost removed. Yes, they costed chi to use, and I must admit I forgot about Touch of Karma. I did remember Tiger's Lust because it kind of gave issues in PvP. Tiger's Lust no longer stacked with other speed buffs, which I used to do with the speed increase on the belt from engineering, and just gave you insane amount of speed. Kind of bummed out that I didn't record that. Path of Blossom was removed. Now I can't really explain what the ability exactly did. I do remember it laid down flowers on the floor. I believe there were like 3 max wherever you walked when you used it. And when I thought about it, it's actually a really cool ability for Brewmaster to kite ads around. Another thing, charging Ox Wave went from 60 seconds to 30 seconds cooldown, which I thought was like a really big number, so I added that as well to shine a light on that. Abilities that were added, there were 3 abilities added. The first one being Nimble Brew. A Ring of Peace was added in 5.2, and it replaced Deadly Reach. Now, for those of you that don't know what that talent was, that is pretty much the 20-yard range you have on your paralysis. They made it baseline, but before it was an actual talent to gain 20-yard range on your paralysis. And the last ability that they added was Storm, Earth and Fire. So we finally got a cleave ability. You know, it's long overdue, but we finally got it. And lastly, they changed the mastery. They changed it from Combo Breaker, the one we have now tied into our jab, to Bottle Fury, but not the one that we have at the moment. The Bottle Fury we got then was it increased our damage bonus provided by Tiger Eye Brew. So it actually made mastery more interesting for Windwalker monks, as opposed to what it is now and what it was before. And these were the more interesting changes for 5.2. In 5.3 Escalation, they only made a few adjustments to some of our abilities, and only one stood out for me, which was Rising Sun Kicks debuff. It was increased from 10% to 20%, and the reason why I thought that was interesting is because they actually decreased it from 15% to 10% in the previous patch 5.2. Other than that, nothing else really stood out. Which brings us to 5.4 Siege of ORGRIMMAR. That had the standard value changes as well, and only a few other changes that stood out for me. First one being our mastery was changed a second time into what it is today. Chi Brew was changed from only giving us a full Chi bar every minute and a half to restoring 2 Chi on a 45-second cooldown and generating 2 stacks of Tiger Eye Brew, and of course Chi Brew stacked up to 2 charges. Our biggest change was the change to Rushing Jade Wind to what it is now. Before it was more of an AoE Brewmaster talent, since it also cost Shuffle. The other specs didn't really use it that much. What you basically did was you summoned a whirlwind in front of you that dealt damage and increased the target's damage taken from spinning crane kick by 30%. So, as you might have noticed, it was only until late in Mist of Pandaria that we gained the abilities and adjustments that increased our value in a raid. Which brings us to what I believe we are still missing. For one, I believe we should get a raid defensive cooldown. They kinda screwed up with the Zen meditation design, so I can only hope for the future they will adjust it in a way that it actually becomes worth using, other than just an extra personal defensive cooldown. Another thing I would like to see changed is our mastery. It is kind of the same, in the same place as our first mastery was, easily convertible into a passive with a base value. Now, I must admit that I dislike any mastery that loses value the more mastery you have, and I believe currently, I might be wrong, but I believe currently we are the only class that has that type of mastery. From what I read, Retribution Paladins had the same type, but like I said, I might be wrong. But you know, to have a mastery increase a chance of a proc is kinda, you know, meh. Lastly, Blackout Kicks Dot, which pretty much hits like a wet handkerchief. Now, I have multiple reasons why I don't like the way it is now, but that would take way too long. I do, however, have an idea of what I think would be a good change, and that is to make our mastery increase, the dots damage of our blackout kick, and our chi explosion, and maybe the frontal healing part of blackout kick as well, to make it more valuable in PvP. That way you kill two birds with one stone. Other than that, I feel we are in a pretty good place at the moment when it comes to Warlords of Draenor, so I still stand by what I said in a video I made a couple of months ago on the subject. So that's it from me. I will be kind of busy for Warlords of Draenor with leveling and all, but I will try to be quick with at least a rotation type guide somewhere in the first month of the new expansion. But you know, don't quote me on it. I'll try. For now, let me know what you think. Like, dislike, leave a comment, do whatever. And who knows? Until next time. See ya.